on online, which is all about online meetings, and so there we have lots of different topics that we share with participants. We are doing our class of June now with 30 students, and it's a lot of tips and tricks and technical and technology and facilitation techniques and all sorts of formats that we address. So there's a lot to be shared, but I've selected just a few small tips. Well, small. Some of them are like fundamental tips, I think, to make online meetings more engaging. And I know you've all been cheated. Sonia, I know you've been cheated, and Maarten, you've been cheated. People have told you that this is going to be a really engaging meeting, you know, not about this one, but about other meetings. And then it ends up to be a webinar where you can type in a question with text. I do not agree. That is not interactive. That is not engaging enough to me. We can do a lot better. And I think we, the meeting professionals, need to take the lead. And we're helping meeting professionals in doing just that.
Fantastic, Maarten. But we will have all the chance to do that, to experience that, what you preach, what you say what you preach, or do what you preach in a few minutes. Also, we're having with us Karin Ovari. Karin is a person that has been using Howspace for really, really large events. And Karin, tell me something. In what way large events could be managed without Howspace? Like the ones you do, like
the ones that we do without Howspace. That's a very good question. Unfortunately, I think it would fall into the category of just a whole bunch of events that you might turn up to through a Zoom link or what other meeting link there is. There are many large event platforms out there. They tend to be rather expensive, I have to say. And I think that, and they're a little bit too contained. So to run the events like we're running, I don't think we would have the interaction, the human side that we get when we're using the asynchronous part of the technology, which is Howspace. So using the two technologies together, so the online piece, something like Howspace beforehand allows you to engage before you even come into this space, and then continues that conversation during, and even maybe more importantly after, so that we can continue to come back. We create spaces called campfires where people can just go and hang out. For a client, I'm currently creating a lunchroom so they can pick a meeting that they'd like to go to. So there's a variety of different places. So I don't know that it would work. Yeah, I'm sure there's many different ways, but it's not my favorite. I think I like this way. For me, it's about how do we connect as humans? How do we have in-person events virtually?
Fantastic, Karin. That's amazing. So also with us is already, as you already heard about, Ilkka. Ulla Lucas is also here with us. Sophia, Sonia, they didn't already put their images here.
I can go ahead if you wish.
Good, Rina, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, sure. I'm from Istanbul, Turkey, and I'm working for the IAF, International Association of Facilitators, as a social media manager. I have been doing this for more than a year now. It's almost 1.5 years now since I've started. And I'm managing the European and Middle East account, plus the global accounts for the IAF. And now I'm managing my own online organization company in Turkey, based in Turkey. But I want to have some collaborations from all around the world, and Howspace is really interesting to me in this case. And thanks for letting me be here. And nice to meet you all.
Thank you. Sonia, or maybe Sonia, you introduce yourself? Yes?
Okay, I'm Sonia. I'm from Portugal. I work for CICAD, which is an organization for addictive behaviors and dependencies. I work in the communication team, and I've never heard of Howspace, so this is my first time. I'm here just to learn today. Thank you.
else? Martin, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, my name is Maarten Vanneste. I'm Swedish, but based in Bangkok, Thailand for more than 20 years. Me and my company, we're working with leadership development, and we've been using Howspace since last year in leadership development. And now we do everything fully remote as most other companies.
Okay, cool.
Nice to meet all of you.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing the video. We have lots of other participants in the room without video and audio, so that's okay. You can just watch. It's not a problem to be here just watching. And but of course, if you want to turn up your video and introduce yourselves now, that's the time. And then don't forget that you can also go to Howspace and put your picture in. We have now a nice collection here of participants in the Howspace. And what I would like to tell you is that we really want us to become like a sort of a learning community, right? We are all here event organizers. We could be sharing some practical knowledge among ourselves. Especially, it's really a pleasure to have with us 3 people that are really experienced in digital facilitation, like Ilkka Makitalo and also Karin Ovari. And last but not least, Maarten Vanneste, because even without using Howspace, Maarten never used Howspace before, is really proficient in using digital tools for engagement, right? So that's the purpose also of this workshop, is to create here a learning communities where we can tap from the knowledge of these colleagues. And also, hopefully, we can grow in future editions that we want to tap on this very important segment, which is the event organizers. We are all event organizers here. So without further ado, and following the schedule, maybe Karin, do you like to introduce a little bit the program for us? If you have it in
I do.
Howspace.
So how we will move on, Maarten will give us a sense of the...
Oh, sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt, Karin, because Alexandre put the camera. Alexandre, you want to introduce yourself? And Lucia Dias also, sorry.
Hello, my name is Alexander. I'm the president of the Portuguese Multiple Sclerosis Association here in Portugal. And we also organize a lot of events, particularly with Paulo. And we are very keen to listen to you all and try to learn a little bit of your skills. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexandre, for being with us. Lucia?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this inviting. It's a pleasure to join in this event. I'm working CCAT in the area of training, formation. I have done some video conference, but in the area of addict behavior and addictions. But I use the WebEx meetings, and it's been a fantastic experience. I don't know Howspace. It's a pleasure to know more about this training. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lucia. Thank you for joining. So that said, I think introductions are finished, and sorry to have to interrupt you, Karin.
Oh, no problems.
Cool. So
at this point, shall we move into, does Maarten want to?
Just the overall of the session, Karin, so that we have a session where we're going to stand in more or less an hour from now.
Okay. So our objective is to help you get a sense of what's possible using the various tools that between us we will discuss, and you may also have some ideas. So this will be sort of an open discussion as well, and it'll be interesting to see what has worked for you so far. So my role in all of this will be to take you a little bit, we'll go into a bit of a Howspace playground, as I call it, and Maarten will take you through some great ideas or share his experience around the other technologies that we can use. So Maarten will kick off with his ideas lab. There's a couple of questions in here that I'll let Maarten introduce you to. Then we'll move into our playground, and then essentially we'll have a bit of a checkout and experience. So our goal here, and Ilkka will also support us in this, and the idea between Howspace is we want you to feel, to showcase how easy it is, to make it work for you, how flexible it is. And so we're going to share some different screens and some different bits and bobs, some different workspaces with you, so that you can get a sense of just how broad it can be.
Thank you so much, Karin. And I'm just sharing my screen with you all, so you can see how the Howspace platform can be easily designed in a way to accommodate our agenda, right? So it's like a flow, as Ilkka said, noiseless. So we just look at what we are looking right now. So this is the welcome page, and thank you all for the ones who already put your picture in your profiles. Now the second step will be the ideas lab here. Then the third step will be the Howspace playground that Karin will facilitate. And finally, you see checkout and experience. That's the part where Ilkka is going to host us in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the session today. Is this okay for everybody? Are you ready to go? If you're ready to go, please put your hand like this. Yes. Ready to go or not ready to go? Ready to go?
So this becomes a very yes.
Yes, ready to go. Cool. Okay, so Maarten, over to you now.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, thank you. So it's great to be in this group. It's good to know what everybody's doing. Good to see all the faces. And I know we're all going online with our meetings and events. Not only office meetings, but also, you know, the bigger meetings, conferences and events are going online. And it's a lot of steep learning curves that we see, a lot of high-speed learning, and a lot of mistakes that are made along the way, because you know, we don't realize all the aspects of online meetings when we start doing one. We think, yeah, I've been in a Skype call, so I can do it, no big deal. But there is a number of challenges, of course, you know, like the technical side of things. You know, how do you fix your internet speed in your house? Are you enough of an IT technician, Ulla, to fix your problems, or do you have some kind of person running around in the house that could be your IT technician? Because we all have to be technicians, you know, not just IT technicians, but also camera technicians and video switching technicians and all sorts of technical functions that are now all of a sudden our work. You know, we didn't realize that. So going online is a tough call, and there's a lot of, you know, bumps in that road towards online, going online. So
definitely, Maarten. And by the way, Irene is back. Irene, can you test your sound just to see if you are able to listen to you?
Hello.
Hello. Now you're good.
Okay. Hello, I'm Irene. I come from Portugal, and I work with Sonia and Lucia at CICAD.
Okay, and now your sound is perfectly all right. So it make
Thank you.
This is Maarten. This is something that normally works, right?
Thank
Excellent.
you.
Well, yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
What about my voice? Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Now, okay.
Yes, yes. So Maarten, I'm enough technician to actually fix the problem.
It's not fully fixed, I think, but
Yeah.
there's a few more things you can do. You know, do you know the speed? Can you measure your speed? Do you know where your router is? Can you switch it on and off? Do you know how to reset the router? Do you have a cable just in case? You know, there's many things you can do. There's a list of like 10 different things that you can do in your house to improve your bandwidth. And one of them is calling your provider and asking for the new prices of the new upgrades that they probably have, which is probably cheaper than the previous one, and you get more speed for it. So there's lots of stuff you can do. Anyway, the first thing I would say, the first major tip I think I have here is please don't do webinars. So I'm on my knees and I'm praying, you know, don't do webinars, because webinars are ruining our industry. We are making the biggest mistake ever. Everybody's doing webinars while we can do meetings like this. So why are we doing webinars and then calling them super interactive? Because we have a chat box and people can ask a question to the speaker. I'm really sorry to disappoint you if you are doing webinars. But I think webinars are the lower level of the stuff we can do. It's like, yeah, we are very professional when we do meetings. We think about everything in the planning and everything. And then I think we should do the same. We should do the same kind of professionalism. We should have the same kind of professionalism when we do online meetings. And it's not webinars. Because webinars, when you do a webinar, you become a YouTube channel. You become a video channel. You become an online learning place. And that's not why people come to your conference. Did you know that people don't come to your conference to learn? Well, they do come to your conference to learn, but it's not number one. You know what number one is on their list? It's something else. It's networking. People come to your events because they want to see other people. And if you do a webinar, people can't see other people. So that's a big mistake. You have to do online meetings like this where people see each other and where they can have conversations in small groups. I think that's essential. Networking is why people love to come to conferences. And they will stay away. If we are doing webinars, people will stay away and they will step out, after a while. And it's not by adding 10 more speakers into a 2-hour session that you will create a better networking environment. You just create a more intense and painful learning environment. Number 3 here on the map is motivation. People are motivated when they can travel, paid by the company, or when they can meet other people in a different place and they see a lovely city or a country. They see new cultures and discover different, cities, whatever. So that's motivational. It's fun to do. And we have to get some fun into these meetings as well. And when we just do presentation after presentation, talking head after talking head, that's not going to happen. So we have this task to do, and webinars are the easy way out. So if you can avoid it, please do avoid webinars. This is a webinar actually where somebody is talking about webinar fatigue in a webinar that is about it's for meeting professionals. So they had a 3-hour session and they have 15 speakers, and it's a lot of information that is dumped into your brain. So the same person says we should do more than talking heads, while she is a talking head in a session that is only talking heads, 3.5 hours. So really we can do a lot better, and you can do a little better with a webinar if you create your video stream into a studio where you have multiple cameras and different backgrounds. You have different camera shots, as you can see here. On this slide, you see the speaker in the suit, in the blue suit, and you see the guest in the brown suit, and you see the table where both of them are presenting. So these are different shots in the webinar, different moments in the webinar. They also have polling and texting. So the camera variation in the camera is already something. If you have always the same shot, it's more painful. So this is a video of the next level of doing a webinar. So webinar can be done like from a TV studio almost. And this is an example. Let me just play that.
Good morning, good afternoon, Planet IMEX. Welcome to ABITS.
So here you see a professional AV company with 7 technicians doing a 3D environment. This is a virtual environment and a real speakers. They call this mixed reality. So you see the speakers and their slides projected or pasted in that environment. But these are all real people, and they do polling as well, live. So there's a live situation happening, but it's still speakers speaking one way, and the only thing that is kind of connecting the participants is the polling and and some other text chat things. So it's still a webinar. People don't see each other. People don't even know how many other people are there. People think this is live. It could be recorded, unless you show the results of a poll. You should see the numbers go up. then people might believe you and say, yeah, this is live. My vote is in there. But this is virtual, as you can see, a virtual environment in which a real studio is positioned. So that's the webinar, and the webinar will remain used as an educational tool. But I think we're meeting people. We're not school. We're not a school. Are we a school? Are we turning into a school? No, we're community builders, right? We're bringing people together. So a webinar is maybe part of it, but you know, if people can't talk, can't see each other, I think it's a weak offer, and we should do better. So then you have the virtual event. Now, the word virtual, this is a virtual environment, yeah, and even the participants
We
here
are living in unprecedented
virtual.
times.
So you can see this is happening on an island. It's a lovely conference center, a virtual conference center, and this is a virtual meeting room with virtual people. I mean, there is some real people behind it, but they don't see each other. They don't see faces. They can't talk to each other. They can just chat. So this is a real virtual environment, a virtual, that's what I call a virtual meeting. It's yeah, this was done in the 90s. Maybe some of us remember that. Most of us are too young to remember this. Some of us have seen this in the 90s.
Yeah.
And it was really hot for half a year, and then it disappeared again. Everybody tried this. Everybody wanted to be there and try it, and then discovered.
Is this Second Life, Maarten?
No, I don't know what this is, but it's a meeting environment. So you have you can watch the screen. You can walk into a room. This is called Marketplace 6, where a sponsor maybe gives a presentation or something. So yeah, I don't know. This is very 90s to me. This is recent. You know, this kind of services are being sold, and a lot of people think this is going to happen now. I'm curious to see, but it didn't work in the 90s because of the fact that people couldn't just talk to each other. I think this is much cooler. But we are in a meeting as well. I don't call this a virtual meeting. This is a real meeting of real people. This is you, Karin. Really, it's you, right? Yeah. See, I can see Karin's eyebrows and forehead moving. I can see her facial expressions. This is a real meeting. It's online, but it's a real meeting of real people. Okay, so I made my point. Virtual meetings. Then online meetings. That's what we have here. I think that's really what we are supposed to do. I think to save our own jobs, you know, as meeting professionals. So now at this moment we all have solos. So each of us is alone in a space. So I call that a solo. You are a solo when you're in a meeting like this. It's not a group in different groups together. And so an online meeting, I think, is also the term face-to-face was claimed by physical meetings where people actually go into a venue together. I call that physical meetings, but not face-to-face, because this is more face-to-face than ever. Lucia, am I right? This is more face-to-face than ever. Lucia disappeared. I spoke her. I said her name and she disappeared. But yeah, this is. I see more faces now than ever in a meeting before, because usually you see the back of other people's. You see their hair, the back of their heads. Now we see the faces, more face-to-face than ever. So I think this online meetings are really the winner of what's happening here, and especially when you turn this bigger group into smaller groups. So we've done meetings of more than 100 people, and you can do 50 breakout rooms with 5 people. So then you can have small group conversations, and that's where the magic happens. That's where people get to know each other and are woken up again after a presentation. So the first question I have, and we should use our online space for that. So maybe, Ilkka, you want to guide us to answer this question. So what online event have you seen that was well done or inspiring? So maybe you can write some of that in our online in-house space.
Okay, yes, please. Now go to the Howspace page that you can have like simultaneously here. And in the Ideas Lab section, please take how many time, Maarten, should we allocate people to?
2 minutes at most, because I already took, I'm already halfway my presentation, so.
Okay, 2 minutes in silence for individually say. our sources of inspiration, and I'll do mine as well.
Oh, now that's fun.
So where do I go?
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. Oh, and we have the minutes on top. Fantastic.
Yes.
This is fantastic. Okay.
Ideas. All right. Do we have some? Do you want to comment? Just...
Fab.
Group Paul's breakouts, group discussions. Yeah. Small group discussion. Chance to connect.
Are you sharing the screen? Are you sharing the results, Maarten? Because you can share them. Yes, great.
So everybody should be, if they're all looking into the Howspace, they can scroll up and down. They might need to refresh their page or not.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because we have here a mix of experiences like Rena. Rena Bilgin was the host of the International Facilitation Festival. So she has a wealth of experience in making engagement up, as you can see there. Also, I think Alexandra also hosts very large meetings and quite engaging in the sense of the participation that he attracts.
Was it the online facilitation summer festival or is it the online facilitation summer festival?
It was an online facilitation summer festival where we had 18 different presenters and 18 different sessions in 3 days into different Zoom accounts. It was a huge one, actually. It was nice.
All right, cool.
Thanks. It was really nice.
Okay, so then for my last few minutes, I would also like to share multi-hub meetings. And multi-hub meetings are when you have several groups in several places. So, and you connect those. So not individuals, not solos, but groups. It's about groups meeting groups. And here's an example of a 5 meeting, 5 meeting rooms with groups that are connected. And they all have the similar screen with where they can see each other and have speakers in different cities that are presenting to all these cities. And yeah, of course, you have a facilitator in every location, so it's good. It's a good business model as well for online facilitators. So I think as far as content design is concerned, I think we have a need for a lot of short presentations followed by conversations. So the script is much more detailed than in the past. I think that's a tip. I would go for a minute by minute, and also change Q&A into CNI, which is conversations and input. I already saw some positive comments on small group conversations. I think that's the golden nugget in online meeting design. Even in normal meeting design, let's say in in on-site meeting design where people are physically together. Small group conversations are as you know, the golden nugget. It's what people, it's what wakes up people. They love it. They learn from each other. They meet other people in these conversations. So I think here we have to do the same as in this room. In this room, you have a person that is speaking at the bottom left here, and on the top right you see small tables having conversations. So this is something you all know, but the same needs to happen in online meetings. So I hope Sophia, or who is the host in this meeting, whoever is the host, yes please, I would like you to talk in small groups about your favorite way to make online meetings more engaging. You know, so share a few ideas among each other. Let's make 3 small groups of 3 to 4 people. Yeah, 3 small groups is good. And let's spend yeah, if we spend 10 minutes, I go overtime already. That's how fast things go. So let's do 5 minutes then. It's really short.
Let's do that. Let's go there.
It's really.
Hello, Irene.
Hi there.
Hi there.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
I love your signs, Paul. How many do you have of those?
But this was the very surprising sound, Irene. You didn't realize, but when you speak, it's in the recording, so you can watch later. Your voice was like of a bird.
Yes, in the first place, but I think now it's okay. Now it's okay.
But you too, Ula. You know, sometimes your voice escapes. Like
yeah. I think it's now in our service provider. We have 5G network at home, but there seems to be some challenges in that.
You have to do this because we're not listening to you. Okay. So Irene, why? Tell me a little bit. So, what do you do for making engagement in your events?
I'm sorry. I speak. My English is. I don't speak very well English. I apologize for that.
If you want, you can say in Portuguese. I translate to Ilkka.
Yeah.
Okay. Portanto, eu trabalho no departamento de comunicação do CICAD com a Sónia e com a Lúcia. Fazemos vários eventos ao longo do ano. Estamos também na Lisbon Addiction, que é um evento europeu, um evento internacional, juntamente com o MCDDA. E ao longo do ano temos vários eventos, uns maiores, outros mais pequenos.
Ok, eu vou só traduzir agora, porque senão depois esqueço. Ilkka and Ula, so Irene works in CICAD, which is the Drug Addiction Department of Ministry of Healthcare. They host online events, but also large face-to-face events like Lisbon Addictions, which is one of the most renowned events in the world for drug addictions. And Irene is talking about this experience. So any questions, okay, and you would like to ask Irene?
How familiar are you with doing virtual events? Have you experience in that area?
Compreendeu a pergunta, Irene? Percebeu?
Sim, percebi. Eu percebo melhor o português, o falar é que é mais complicado para mim. Sim, neste tipo de eventos estou a iniciar agora.
Ok.
Nós não, eventos, exatamente, em webinars nós não tínhamos muito essa tendência. Em eventos virtuais é agora realmente, por causa devido à pandemia, não é? É que estamos a iniciar e está a correr muito bem, está a correr, o feedback que nós temos é que está a correr muito bem. Portanto, a minha experiência é uma experiência muito incipiente.
Okay,
muito...
Okay, so they're just beginning now with virtual events. But the few ones that they have done, I know this because I attended one with WebEx. The feedback they have is very, very positive.
Okay.
Right. So this is also something when Maarten speaks about engagement, I see that it also depends on participants' expectation, because due to the COVID-19, people are locked down. And when CCAD made a WebEx webinar, everybody liked it so much. They don't, even if the interaction was not because with the WebEx, we only can have the chat questions, right, Irene? No WebEx, vocês só podemos fazer perguntas pelo WebEx, não é? Não há interação direta com o participante, com o orador.
Nos nossos?
Sim.
Sim, sim, há.
Podem fazer interação direta com
sim, sim, sim.
Ok.
Sim.
Sorry.
Ainda ontem nós tivemos uma conferência sobre, por acaso foi muito interessante, sobre o mundo digital em que havia interação dos participantes, sim.
Okay. So sorry about this. I thought that so they still have interaction also with even with the WebEx. Have interaction still. Okay, we have to go to leave the breakout now.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, any feedback? Anyone has anything they learned that was that's worth sharing?
In my case, I was surprised because everybody's already doing engaging events.
Yeah, very good. Very good. We're moving forward with this. That's great.
I think Sonia raised a really interesting question is, how do we make very formal events? Because sometimes we still have formal meetings, formal events. How do we make that engaging? And I mean, maybe that's what I can lead into next, but yeah.
Yeah. Formal meetings has always been a different category. So for that, but good. I also learned some stuff. Miro used as kind of a film around the meeting where you have the program you can click on different rooms and you can actually go back to that page if you want to leave a room and you go to another room. So and then behind that link is a meeting room. Could be a Zoom or Google or Hangouts or something. So that's interesting to hear. And also, Lucia, you shared that in WebEx you can do up to 100 videos of participants. So yeah, quite a few interesting things. So that's all I have time for. This is exactly 25 minutes. So back to you, Paul.
Thank you so much, Maarten. Thank you so much, Sophia, for hosting the breakouts. Now, Karin, as we have planned, it's now you to do a little bit of the sandbox so that we can stay around in the sandbox for like 10-15 minutes. And then finally, we're going to do a little bit of the harvesting of what we have learned today. So hopefully, Karin, you're going to show us some interesting things.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen, but I'd invite you to, the first part, I will be just showing you some things. I'll be taking you around a few different sites, showing you different components and showing my little story about how I got to Howspace actually, which was not that long ago, but it's kind of life-changing. So, and I guess in reality, I call myself these days a designer of Howspace, a designer and a facilitator, if you like. So I'm going to share my screen. Yep, I'll go for this one. Okay. So one of my journey to here started actually back in February. And before I get on to that little journey, I'd like to really support a few things that Maarten said. My favorite new term, we used to say, oh, not another PowerPoint, oh, death by PowerPoint. Well, my new terminology is not another bloody webinar. And I think one of the things that's very dangerous at the moment is everybody, and I'm just as guilty of this, how many people, well, let me ask you a question. And I'm going to just move you so I can see you all. Who has ever bought a gymnasium pass and not used it, or very rarely, right? We're probably all fairly, you know, an exercise class. You've either never bought one, Maarten, or you're very diligent and you go. But I know I have been a member of a gymnasium many times and not necessarily used my membership, and end up paying for quite a lot. So, and feel free to open up your mics here, by the way. I think webinars have fallen into the same category. How many times have we been saying, oh, okay, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, they're recording it. Okay, I'll pay for that. How many people actually go back and listen to that recording?
No one.
Not many. I know I have wasted a fortune, yeah, thinking, oh, that looks interesting. I haven't got time right now, so I won't go to it. Now, when we're running events, when we're running physical events, we might record them, maybe, but what's the real purpose of being there? It's about being in the room, learning, sharing, collaborating, and enjoying each other's experience and energy, yeah? And that's such an important component to all of this. So what Maarten and I probably both, I think, great proponents of is that this is an in-person event. Right? It is not, I'm not talking to Zoom, I'm not talking to Howspace, I'm not talking to my camera. I'm using those tools to help me facilitate and to speak with you. Yeah, I'm looking in your eyes, I'm looking at all sorts of things. Now, the only thing I will say that is occasionally, and it's particularly if we think that our hair is going in the wrong direction and all that sort of stuff. There's a really nice tool on Zoom, for example, where you can actually hide your self view. Because the one thing that we do find a little bit odd here is I can see myself talking to you. Now, when I'm in person, I probably wouldn't, right? So I quite often actually hide my self view, and my distraction is gone. Yeah. And I can now see you all delightfully. If you want to practice that, you just hover over your video, a little blue box with 3 little buttons turns up, and it says hide self view. You still see everyone, you still see me, but I don't see me. That takes a lot of stress out for a lot of people, actually. Because all of a sudden that bit of hair that's annoying me is no longer in my face. Yeah? So for me, this is all about using Howspace for facilitated collaboration. And I'm not going to go into the presentation, actually. I'm going to actually just go straight into a journey. The story is around the Virtual Collaboration Campus. On the 29th of February, just before the world basically changed overnight, there was a bit of a call out, or just as it was about to change, a colleague, now a very dear colleague, did a call out on LinkedIn and said, you know, who wants to come together? Who's a global facilitator? Who wants to come together and let's share an experience and help people go online? I thought, oh, this looks interesting. We'll see. Didn't know anything about these people. On the 5th of March, we had a meeting between 33 facilitators. So what shall we call it? Shall we call it an event? Shall we call it a conference? No, let's call it the Collaboration Campus. All right. On the 30th of March, we opened the doors, metaphorically speaking. So in little under 4 weeks, all right, we built Howspace, we built website, we ran an event that had 33 facilitators, 80 sessions, over 370 participants who between them purchased over 2,500 sessions. We had probably 2 moments of a tech glitch. It was amazing. Howspace was the space, the container for all of the interaction. And I'm going to share that with you in just a minute. Oh, actually, I'll go there right now. So one of the things in Howspace, so you're seeing this is the June event, but I put a link in here, so it'll take me straight to that from that same place. So we invited lots of people, and we actually had to so we doubled our revenue. We didn't do this for money, but we made money. We did pay a small amount because we find that people, they have more weight if it's paid for. One thing for sure, not 1 second of it was recorded, which was interesting. And then the reason we didn't record was because of a GDPR issue. So the privacy issue, we hadn't really got the right permissions to do so. So one of the nice things that you'll see in shortly is that Howspace is so flexible that this page, the welcome page, changed daily. Every time there was a new event, every time we had to change a session, every time there was something else on here. So this looks, from what it was when we first started, this page looks completely different. Yeah, we had welcome videos, we had the programs you could download. Everybody came in and had lots of conversations with us. There's lots and lots of conversation. I've shortened it. We had closing ceremonies, we had opening ceremonies, and then we had the campfire after party, which, let me tell you, people had a hangover. We had a Spotify list that was going. We had 150 people from around the world dancing and drinking wine at all hours of the day, depending on where they lived. Yeah, it was amazing. We had useful tools, etc. Now, because my screen's a little bit chunky, you can't see all of the menu. But the campus agenda, we had the 4 days. We had the agenda for each one. Now, I started this journey. My personal journey started with this particular event, and I knew nothing about Howspace before this. And I pretty much built 85% of it. So we built session pages. We had Zoom links in here, which we've removed now. But, you know, you can do all sorts of things. There's a place to engage with everybody. We had a Let's Connect page. And some of this we learned kind of after the fact, actually. But here you can see how the people widget becomes very helpful. So there's, you know, just proof in the pudding. We did have a lot of people in the system.
But Karin, can I ask you a question? Just in that fly, because it's really interesting what you accomplished here. And this is not to take value out of Howspace, because obviously we are now witnessing how important Howspace was for your events, and you can even answer my question about if you could do them without Howspace. But I found that there's a key ingredient in your case, which is a willing, engaging number of participants wanting to join. It's also the will in the heart of the participant to do this kind of crazy things, like having this party, virtual party. Is if people are not willing to do it, then so what is really the secret of success here?
Co-creation. It's about the conversation. It's about the interaction. It's about the breakouts. It's every session was different. It was being there. So you know, in an event like this, you have to be there. You have to be there to answer questions. You have to have a help desk. You have to have, you know, there has to be a help desk there. How do we book? How do we do things? What do you need? So it is also about being very, very present, just like you would in any event. Yeah. So we all have to be very present. Yeah. Particularly the people in the background organizing it all. So I wanted to share that one to just, and we're in the midst of the next one, which is the Global Change Days, which is the next iteration. It started on Monday and it will continue on till November. So this one is a slightly different format. We have these lighthouse events that led to our festival events. Again, you can see it looks quite different. It's a different look and feel, our themes. So there's a whole lot, there's programs. Now, something that you mentioned earlier, when people first come into here, they have these questions. So how do you feel right now about entering this space? Welcome, what are you looking for here at GCD? We were talking about artificial intelligence. So as you see this here, you can see there's a scale. So dear fellow travelers, we are here very much looking forward to this journey with you. Let us know how you feel. So people put in a scale here. There's 2 questions. And then we can actually have a look at that. So let's say, let's show the latest round of results. So at the moment, the total average is 3.6. We had 22 people checked in so far. Right? So it gives us a sense, but it's early days. We will do this continually so that we have a good gauge of what's going on. On this side, we have a different check, a different piece of AI. So or this is a poll. So we've asked people, what are they looking for? I'm looking for new insights. We need new tools for virtual collaboration. I want to be part of the tribe. I'm longing for community. So there's different tools here, which I'm sharing, just to give you a sense of what's possible. I don't expect you to remember all of this. We have this whole area about, you know, how do you want to get connected, inspired, or equipped? We have different chat boxes, and people, we ask, put your images in, so they start to engage. It's about peer engagement as well. So it's not just us facilitating the conversation. They're actually starting to facilitate the conversation themselves. And that is how we kept going and why we had to keep selling tickets up until the last day. And in fact, we had to keep selling tickets the day after the last day because some people could actually realize they could get into a Zoom. So we had to create something called a trust ticket. It was something we didn't quite set up so well. We knew it was a problem. There's nothing we could do about it. So we just said, oh, yeah, whatever. So we said to people, hey, if you have found the floor, good for you. We trust you'll do the right thing with that information. And people came back and said, how can we pay you? Because I know we've been in other sessions that we hadn't paid for or booked for. It's an extraordinary story.
It's an extraordinary story, Karin. But looking at all these and thinking from my fellow participants' mind, I see like there's you're in the top of the Everest for me, right? You're on the top of Everest. I'm in the base. So how difficult it is really to create an experience like this and in our space?
Okay. The reality is, just like any event, it takes energy. It takes lots of man hours to prepare and to create the entire event. But once you've designed it, once you've started to work through it, then actually it's not too hard. So what I'd like to do is invite you to come in and have a look around. And Ilkka, maybe we can start playing together here. You know, I noticed when you did this, you know, you put up the timer, for example. So you can create things on the fly. So let's say we want to edit page layout. Now you as a facilitator have the opportunity to do this.
Exactly. Can you take the pulse of the group? So how this group is feeling? How are you going to do that?
That's a great question. Thank you. I was conscious of time. We got to be careful not to do that.
No, but how do you take the pulse of the group if everybody's happy so far? Can you do it on the fly?
Absolutely. I'll just put one up the top here. So let me go to this one actually. So these are containers, and we now want to take a pulse of the group, and we're going to invite you all. Just now. We can add, well, we just added the question. How are you feeling about what you have seen? And the answering will be, one is, well, I quite like using thumbs, but fabulous. Sorry, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 5, isn't it? I don't use this one so often, so please chip in, Ulla or whoever. Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 5, yeah?
Yes. And you can actually decide the scale if you would like to use something else in your class settings.
Okay, is that down here in advanced settings? Ah, here we go. So we can do the scaling down here. Right, that's all I need to do. We can also keep anonymous and answers anonymous if we wish, yeah, but we won't this time. Okay. So now I'm going to close. So I would invite you all to go into your Howspace, go to the Howspace playground. That question is right at the top there, and pick a number.
Okay, let's do that. Everybody, please, let's go to the Howspace window that you must have. Go to the playground, and then from 1 to 5, how you're feeling right now. And you submit, right? When I submit, it's interesting because I already see my own response.
Yes.
And the average of the group. It's amazing.
Yeah. I don't see it yet because I haven't seen anything. So I'm going to say, I think it's amazing, submit, and now I can see.
Exactly.
Now, there's a couple of different ways you can do this. So whilst you're all doing that, I'm going to actually add another widget, and I'm going to make it a poll. And one of my favorites, actually, I love doing this one. You know, what do you think? Maybe I could say, would you use it? Might be a better question, but that one's coming up. So let me just do something here.
Yes, the polls are a very interesting way to collect information, because as you just showed us before in an actual live event, which is the Global Change Days, we can actually see the results people are actually filling in by the minute, right?
Yeah.
And then the idea with the Pulse widget is that you can actually ask it several times, and then you can follow up what kind of learning curves there is and what kind of progress is happening.
Exactly.
So you can use it once or as many times as you like. So for example, in Howspace, in our company, we made a survey about well-being at work that is done once a year, and then we decided that what are the 2 topics we are going to follow up every month. And now we can see how the energy level is moving. And have discussions why and what to do with it.
So go in and pick which thumbs up you like.
Oh, that's amazing. I already see the response. It's really interactive, the platform. It's really interactive. And Karin, this is maybe a last question for you before asking Ilkka to take over the hosting.
Yes,
so
yes.
Isn't it something scary for an event organizer to use Howspace? Because Howspace is like the lie detector. You cannot lie, because if people do not like your event, they'll immediately say, "Oh, boring," right?
Exactly. And I guess one of the nice things that if I go into here let me go to, you know, I really believe in the value of, you know, sharing what people have said. Now, this is really interesting. This is a PDF, by the way, so I can do my presentation in here. So, you know, when you look at the participant, their feedback, so Delfino, you know, this has been the greatest event I've joined since very long. I have to go back 30 years to find something comparable in terms of deep connection among human beings and magic happening among them. You know, the best conference ever for me, because it was so incredibly authentic, relevant, international, sustainable, human, professional, and emotional. And we had tears. One of the big issues, one of the big things that we have is this thing called the campfire. So during the event, the whole time we have the campfire going, and it is manned, but it isn't facilitated. All right. So we are there to help encourage conversation amongst people. They can come and hang out. They can have a private room chat with somebody. They can meet with a facilitator afterwards. The networking component's extraordinary. And they can share all of that. So that's really, it's about the future of human connection.
Thank you so much, Karin, and a round of applause if you enjoy the participation of Karin. Finally, Ilkka, please lead us to harvesting, and we have
I will stop sharing.
Yeah, we have 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, thank you so much. Impressive presentations and excellent job, Karin. So I will share my screen. And I go back to the session that was run by Maarten to Ideas Lab. And yes, so one of my favorite methods is what I wrote also here as muted discussion or muted chat. And that means that even when we are all together, like we had that 2 minutes previously today. So when we have, especially when we have experienced people in the room, and then one is talking and others are listening, there's so much happening in our brains that is not shared for everyone. And one of my favorite experiences was the case that we ran with United Nations in their headquarters in November. They had 200 top leaders of United Nations globally thinking about the future of our planet for next 10 years and what United Nations can be doing for that. And it's an annual meeting. Last year they were like frustrated about having all the great brains in the room, and then there's one talking, 199 listening. And so you are like misusing the energy and the experience and the knowledge that is available. So with Howspace, you can run sessions like they did now last November, that okay, we have top minds in here, here's the topic, write what you think, what your experiences are, and let's get help from AI to analyze that. What do we think? What are the main things? What are the themes that are popping up from all of our experiences and ideas? And it was like mind-blowing experience for the participants. And what have been like part of my dreams have been that after working as a facilitator for decades, and I really love to do facilitation and doing facilitator training and all that, and creating my own methods. But it has been always limited to same place, small group, and then really hard to connect to the daily work. Even with huge amount of energy, then nothing happens, and so on. But with technology, we can start before, we can continue later on, and then we can follow up the process and create something that is really meaningful and is connecting to real life. We can do it asynchronously. We can do it with tens of thousands of participants by using the exactly same methods, just translated to digital world. And these ideas are behind Howspace. So how to make impact in a way never seen before, how to give a voice to people, how to make participants to feel that they are heard, how to make sense together in order to change the world and our own practice and own behavior and our own organizations. And just to demonstrate something based on what we just did, I go to the second discussion in Ideas Lab, and as a facilitator, I can decide that how to run this discussion and what features are available for participants. So for example, quite often when I start facilitating a dialogue, it might be a really simple version. So no likes, no showing likes, no replies, no attachments, just collecting ideas that can be even temporary anonymous to give people like making them empowered to speak out, and later on, if I like, I can show that whose ideas were those that were ranked either by likes or points and sorted by all those. But what can be done is also to give the AI to be utilized by the participants. So I will allow now you as participants to open word cloud of this discussion, meaning that everything is real time. Now you should see on your screen, if you are on this page, these three dots that are normally reserved for facilitators, administrators, but now you should be able to see word cloud. And that means that it's not just a word cloud that you have seen before, it's AI-based word cloud that understands language, sentences, paragraphs, your language, the context of the dialogue. It understands when some words are connected together, and it's interactive. So like speedy networking, appreciating voice, and so on. And interactive means that if there's something you are especially interested in, like let's say discussions, I can click the word, come back to original discussion, it's filtered and it's showing all the comments with that word that I'm curious about. And then if allowed, that could be allowed, I can reply and join the discussion that is filtered down. So discussion about the discussion, or whatever is the topic I'm interested in. So having like dialogue and iterations of discussion based on the topics participants are interested in. And let's say that you have a huge group like Karin were telling about almost 400 people in one event. The biggest online event that we have been helping our clients with was in Finland. In the end of April, we had 9,000 participants online. So there was just a video stream that was embedded in Howspace, and people were inside Howspace. It was called as world's largest parents meetup, a national event for all the parents of primary school kids. And there was like Ministry of Education and that kind of people giving their presentations. But then there's 20 experts in Howspace answering to the questions of parents in Finland. So what are the topics they were interested in? And in that case, it was AI was in real-time use. So having summaries of the discussions like this is the summary of what we were talking about, our experiences. And the more people you have, the more useful it is. And AI with machine learning algorithms is learning all the time. So the more content there is, the better the AI results are. And there's plenty of things already in here, like what we do, appreciate what kind of concerns we have within our discussions and what topics we are talking about. So having this kind of like AI helping us to make sense of things and to deepen our dialogue in order to like share our experiences in order to understand more about the world around us.
Fantastic, Ilkka. I think we are 2 minutes to go. I'm really amazed with the quality of these interventions and the participations. Maarten did an excellent workshop starting. Karin did a wonderful presentation of Howspace and the series on top of the cake. Ilkka, you demonstrated the power of AI built in these tools that can save a lot of amount of work and effort from the event organizers, the facilitators, and also to deliver value to the customers, because I think that's the more important, to deliver values from to the participants that are in events. So that said, we have to close this session because it's just 1 minute to close, but okay. We have Howspace, so you can still remain in conversation for the next couple of weeks. We are going to leave this space open for all of you. So without further ado, thank you so much, Sophia, for hosting this for us. Maarten Vanneste, thank you so much for your leadership. This video is being recorded, so I hope that the hundreds and thousands of people that were not lucky to be here with us today can see what you have presented. Karin, you are what I call virtual virtuosa. Thank you so much for your presentations. The rest of the participants, thank you so much for being here with us today. I hope that we stay in touch from now on, and we have to close the session officially now, the recording. I leave the room open if you want to stay. It's okay, right? I'm stopping the recording. But
and thanks to you, Paul. And thanks to you, Paul.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks to you.
Thank you.
Well done, everybody, for joining in. Normally a little bit more interactive, but oh well, we get there.
Okay, stopping the recording.
Let's continue the discussion in Howspace.